Hello and welcome to round one coverage of the Open at Austin presented by Lone Star Disc. We are here for the first time on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in Austin, Texas, the capital of the Lone Star State, and you're watching JomezPro with Nate Sexton, Jeremy Koling, and Paul Ulibarri.
Round one, guys. These conditions are going to be pretty insane. We got cold wind, and I don't know which direction the wind blowing, but if I were to make a guess, it's something like south by southwest, something in that direction. We got a big sale going on here. Paul, you want to talk to us about this?
Yeah, go over to JomezPro and get yourself some nice, cool Innova discs there. Those look pretty good. No?
I mean, that's clearly a giveaway, fellas. That's not a sale. That's very clearly a giveaway. And we have gifts, and you guys can get them. And now let's do our jobs.
Sounds good. Well, we're playing on a brand new course here at Harvey Penick Golf Campus. This place is long. It's got some wooded holes a little bit, but most of the difficulty is going to be in length and OB, and of course with the wind that we're going to be playing through today. And on our feature group at this Lone Star Disc sponsored event, of course, we have one of the premier sponsored players for the company. We got Nikko Locastro, also Emerson Keith, newly sponsored players by this company. Also on our card, we've got Chris Dickerson. And rounding out our card today, last week's winner, Klein. Playing the first round in a tournament is so much different than any of your practice rounds. So this is the first time any of us have experienced this. A lot of gameplay decisions are made a little bit more in the tournament rounds than you can in practice. But let's get into the first hole.
Yeah, hole 1, par 3, 462, out of bounds left is that sidewalk right there, and this whole tree line on the right is out of bounds. Tricky little angle from left to right. There's a Mando right off the tee to the right side, and there's going to be a predominant left to right crosswind to start your tournament out.
It's actually an incredible win for this hole. This hole did not really play reachable in practice, but we didn't have this big left to right.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity to reach the green, but also an opportunity to go a lot of crazy places, sailing on the wind. This is going to be close to that line.
Oh, wow. That was a really good looking shot. Our OP graphic didn't go up, so I'm not quite sure if that is out of bounds or safe.
I believe he is safe there, based on some editor head shaking.
Okay.
Looks like he is safe. Emerson is not.
Wow. That caught the edge of the tree that denotes the out of bounds or the OB line, but I didn't think that the OB line came in that close to the right.
This one looks bad too.
It does.
Yeah, and that crosswind's just going to make that sail even more. So that's early OBs for Emerson and Chris. And let's see if Kyle can get this backhand turnover line. This is too low to get to the pin.
He's throwing a roller.
Yeah,
Is that going to flip?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But
This is an
flip?
intentional roller. Is it in time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Oh
no.
Oh, no. Long OB.
Crazy.
It's an ambitious effort to go roller with that much crosswind. And almost executed it perfectly. That was a great effort.
Tricky little putt to start there for Emerson. That's about 25 feet.
I mean, we're starting off on the third hardest hole on the course. Nearly a half stroke above par. And this is Nikko for 2.
The wind said no thank you.
Yeah, that's a difficult one.
Wow. Crazy spot Kyle got to here. Probably just a few inches away from the entire card being out of bounds. As Nikko got the red flag initially, he had to be right there on the line. So that shows you how different it is from practice. That's what I felt on this tee. Like, whoa, too bad we didn't have any of this in practice because I really don't know what's going to happen when I get this disc up in the air.
Emerson for the bogey. What a solid strike that was. My God.
From both him and Dickerson.
Definitely.
Yeah, drilling it through the middle of the chains there. And in these conditions, I mean, essentially the best thing you can do is just put it in the center and make the basket spit me out if it has to. And when you have elevated baskets into headwind, they usually do. It's just the way our discs fly, the way these baskets catch, it's going to be some tricky stuff because we're going to have elevated baskets out here. And I don't know if this card gets any spit outs, but it's just one of those things that you know is looming. So good par for Nikko. There were only 7 twos on the round. Pretty good start for those guys, though, and I would have loved to have seen Simon because he says he made his putt from 5 feet.
Wow.
I would have loved to have seen that backhand turnover line.
Hole 2, par 4, 690. OB on the left and right. See that line kind of come across the fairway, shy of that bunker in this golf green. And then you've got OB wrapping the green as well. You can see that area under the tree where our basket indicator is very small and pretty well guarded too. So you have to make sure you get your drive over some inbounds territory. Big hyzer out to the right is a good play, and try to stop it before it goes across that line on the long side.
Big tailwind here as Nikko flexes over, and that time he doesn't necessarily, that is a shame because that was a really good line. He went down the fairway the whole way so that if indeed he did go out of bounds, he at least got to advance.
That's the best OB you could take. Let's say that. He's at least made a lot of progress. He's going straight up the fairway. Emerson is in a little bit of danger here.
Yeah, and that's going to come up just short. And I'm sure he's thinking that the tailwind's going to help push that down the fairway as it's skipping, and that time just not quite enough energy. And Chris is going for the bigger play. So he's going for a lot more distance cut off the tee. The only risk here is not clearing in bounds. And
he must have gotten a piece of the inbounds with that, I think.
It's
for a moment at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be his group's decision, and there is a spotter up there helping, so we'll see what the group says as well.
This is so bizarre to me. I feel like it's really easy to just lay a hyzer out way to the right over that bunker and
provisional here.
Chris is doing the provisional rethrow.
This one looks worse. Oh,
it's
flattening a little more
out.
turned. Okay,
yeah. And this is in danger of going to be long, and I think it's gonna unless it somehow gets a late skip roll, and it does.
Wow. That was crushed.
Yeah.
We'll see what the ruling ends up being.
I'm just not seeing what the benefit is of going so far up there with all that out of bounds.
I mean, look at this. It's going to be out of
Yeah.
bounds as well. Yeah, the green on the left side has an OB line, and the green on the back side. It's a hole that seemed very straightforward in practice when you don't have any wind. But as soon as that wind starts blowing, I mean, all bets are off. Nikko, this is probably in the 260 range.
It's a good shot right there.
Good start.
And Chris from, I believe that's his provisional. Oh, that's his, okay, that was the shot he ended up having to take.
So the provisional did not play.
Pretty good provisional shot, though.
Yeah, I'll say.
Yeah, to save bogey when re-teeing any time ever that's getting it done. Emerson down. That's a double. He's had to make solid putts for bogey and double to start the round. See how that shakes his confidence if it does. It certainly has the ability to, because you're not trying to work that hard for the over par strokes.
He zipped that one in there, too.
Again, yeah.
You see all these bogeys coming in. That's why, I really do feel that Nikko's par is a pretty good start in these conditions. I think most players would be all right with that.
Especially on this card so far.
Don't expect the low scores that we were seeing last week at Waco. This is not a sprint. This is an endurance race here in Austin. Scores are going to be much lower than what you're used to seeing pros shoot on the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
Hole 3, par 3, double Mando to start. 354 feet, blind around to the left with a slopey green. You'd like to throw overstable driver hard and just let the thing fade to the left.
Yeah, a couple guardian trees you got to miss up there as well.
You're talking about
like right there.
A player to save the universe. I think I might sub in Nikko for this very shot. The angle, the shape, his ability to throw the Anheuser with the overstable driver really sets up for this fairway very well. You just have to miss that tree there, and Nikko does perfectly.
Oh, man, that's the best I've seen yet on there, just to be able to stick it right on the back of that hill. Very short putt left for his birdie.
It just seems like a layup for him, and it's not necessarily that that's the case. It's just the way he plays that shot time and time again. It just seems like couldn't be an easier task for him.
That's a fairly common result, I think. Players just trying to get under, get through, not quite getting the angle right. This looks shy.
Yeah, and that's the other.
Oh, what a little redirect.
Whoa.
Is that little fence OB?
You have to get pretty far left. I looked at the T sign, and
okay.
it looks unobtainable, but I mean, I'm guessing it is.
That was an awesome break.
Well, that looked pretty close right there.
All right, so 3 of the 4 shopping for bird. Chris with an awkward angle playing a really nice hillside slide. So that means Emerson's even closer. Kyle for birdie. Put him on the board. Wow.
That was a nasty putt. Uphill, ripping headwind, high in the chains.
Oh, and you could clearly see that disc rise at least a foot, it seemed. And Emerson gets bullseye off the tee. Beautiful birdie. That's a great way to bounce back after the slow start. And Nikko's going to see under par scores now through 3.
3 birdies on this hole is fantastic. And Chris with a drop-in par. Well played. Welcome to the tournament. These guys are definitely getting going now.
How is he in shorts and a t-shirt?
I'm wondering that too. It was pretty brisk.
Yeah.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, it's the only word for it. It was brisk. That high, right in the center, man. Good stick for
Disc
Kyle.
golf keeps growing. At the Power Disc Golf Academy, we believe in adding power to the player to level up their game. That's why Ulibarri, a top 50 ranked player, is taking the past 18 years of teaching disc golf and boiling it down into lessons across every subject. From driving, to putting, to drills, to practice, to mental game, and much more, all to give you the power to grow as a player. Grow your game with the Power Disc Golf Academy.
Second hardest hole on the course approaching. Hole 4, par 5, 1,028. You have to cross that out of bounds area, miss the green, get into a position where you can throw another hyzer somewhere around this third area here, and then go into the woods. And if it weren't difficult enough, these woods are quite tricky. You're basically doing a horseshoe, as you can see here from the overhead drone flight, but it is a long carry to get over to the left side of that OB green. This hole is going to be playing challenging all week. That is quite low, but it seems to have flipped up enough to carry to. Oh, that's an ideal spot.
Wow.
Yeah, it just kept flipping up straight. That was nice. It never went left, never went right, and Nikko's always been somebody who had a lot of power.
Oh, yeah. I don't think people necessarily might think of him as like a power player, but he's a guy who has always had elite distance on the tour.
Yeah.
Kyle as well. He's got 600 feet of power, and he plays a nice hyzer, also to a really good spot. Emerson's a little heavy on the hyzer, but this is standing up kind of like Nikko's, and look at this. Some incredible ground play.
Angle control, really, really nice for these guys into the wind.
I wonder if Emerson's angle is going to be long enough to be able to play the hyzer he'd like on the second. This is in a little bit of danger of landing on the green unless it goes long. Oh, just comes up short. So the angle's not so bad for here, but it's just a long carry for Chris to get to that landing zone that he wants to be at in order to attack the green on his 4th shot.
You got to be careful, too. Sometimes they go a little straight right there. They flip up on you, and that out of bounds on the backside of this fairway comes up really fast.
Yeah,
so
you try to bite off too much, and you for sure are messing with it.
Our card.
Like right here, if this flips up to flat, which it doesn't.
Yeah, good skip, controlling it. He doesn't necessarily get as close to the approach, but I think that was kind of a bit of the angle being cut off. Kyle and Nikko are going to have better shots to play hyzer to a more aggressive landing zone.
Yeah, but if you put a little too heavy on the hyzer, you can really cut off the gap right there.
I think he just did that.
Yeah, I think so.
Going to be into the edge with not a great angle.
And Nikko's looking to do the same, but maybe that wind, that it's kind of a head right to left crossing headwind, which when you get it up in the air, as you saw Nikko there, it kind of drifted a bit short.
Chris's shot was really good, that's what I'm struck by here, as Emerson and Chris are right next to each other. Chris from short of the green to where he can see the basket.
This would be an incredible par save, and the enemy at the gates right there.
So does Nikko have a play for the basket or just a layup?
No.
Yeah, just
no way.
a layup.
It's a very specific gap. It looks pretty wide, but there's no angle to like flex something around. You have to be in line with it in order to access the pin. It's not soft at the opening, that which sometimes allows a little creativity.
Good shot there. Chris needs this up and down for single bogey. Looks likely to get it. And Nikko setting up par putt, but it got away from him just a bit.
That would be a frustrating bogey to take with the start he's had. Still obviously in the circle, but
both of them kind of drifting a little bit. And today, you don't want that extra little chicken chunk because with the breeze, makes it a lot tougher.
Yeah, you're going to have a full belly by the end of the day for sure.
And
there it is.
And that's not on the putt. That approach needs to be softer out of Nikko's hands, and he knows it. Emerson once again delivering a good putt and a solid par to take on this incredibly challenging hole. When the wind dies down throughout the week, as it's predicted to do, we're going to see the number of 6 birdies that we saw in round 1 spike up dramatically, I imagine. This wind obviously going into a left to right crosswind off the tee and then a headwind on the second shot was really playing tricks on the field. But like I said, this is the first time playing this in a tournament. You start to understand, get a better feel for the holes, how to attack it better, just in a way that you really can't get in practice, I found, through my career. So we'll see if the 6 number turns into closer to 20. That's what I think, maybe.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Hole 5, par 3, 482 feet straight away with a couple hazard bunkers and an OB green. Also, there's OB in the woods behind the basket, so that's going to scare you off any kind of roller. Not that the wind today would allow that, but I expect to see these guys get aggressive, try to push something out to the right, skip across that green or throw around it entirely and try to set up a putt for birdie.
And we are a lot more exposed to the wind now. The woods that kind of block the wind on that right side are now not really in the way, as Kyle
Oh boy,
just barely gets over the line.
That was some nice breaks right there.
Okay, here comes a layup.
This is a common play in this hole. And a counter skip, roll, and that'll be just fine. Nikko going wide left, layup.
You think? Yeah, I guess so.
And
Maybe.
Yeah, it looked like the
his
hazard.
bunkers got in the way.
Oh man.
I think he went for it and he just didn't flip it up.
Okay. This is the type of hole Chris is always going to go for. He's got all the power he needs. And that's going to skip across the green to a place where I think he's going to run it. But that is circle's edge into a brisk headwind. And I just don't see him. It's very difficult to attack. We'll see, though.
Look at the wind just push that thing out. Calm day, that disc might be 5 feet. Today, it just kind of gets up and runs a little bit more.
Yeah, another little stressful putt coming for him, which is, I mean, even where Nikko is right there, that's not a formality. Like, you have to get up there and go through the routine to put that in.
I think even I've found that the edge of bullseye putts were almost a little bit unnerving.
Oh, man. You were right about that. Certainly on these tall baskets, the players are for sure thinking about setting that layup up with a tailwind, because I think it's all of us have had sort of a recurring nightmare of being about 14, 13 feet into a ripping headwind on the tall basket.
Yeah.
Because it just isn't, like you said, I mean, it just, the physics aren't quite right for that thing to stay in there. As soon as you hit the chains and the disc falls down, the wind has a great opportunity to blow it right back in your face.
It's always my number one argument for people who think that the putting's too easy and we should have a smaller basket. I always say, well, have you ever putted 15 feet into a headwind on an elevated basket before? I mean, it just doesn't stay in. So, like, you want the basket to be smaller for some reason? I don't think so, bud. Through 5 holes, Kyle Klein, even par. And that's not doing that bad in our field. It's a difficult day, as we said, and we are going straight to the moon here on hole 6, guys. Par 3, 316 feet, and just the angle of this is so difficult. And to make matters worse, we have got a left to right crosswind, which just does not allow the disc to move as far left as we need it to. We're going to see high spike hyzers, and I think that's the only real play to get to the pin.
We got a Saturn V locked and loaded. We got 4 brave souls ready to take on this journey. Didn't make it. Unfortunately, first astronaut did not make it to the lunar surface.
And wow, interesting play here.
That guy did not even want to go to the moon.
No, that did not break Earth's atmosphere, that's for sure.
That was just a sightseeing trip. Lot of want. Let's see how close it gets.
I like this angle. This is about as good as you're going to see.
Wow.
Oh, and circle's edge.
That's on the moon. That is it. That is on the moon.
He has landed.
Phenomenal.
Nikko looking wider. Oh, no, he actually intentionally early releases. That run-up made me think that he was just trying to play a safe shot. We'll never know where he landed.
Perfect.
That had some zip on it.
Nikko was slightly long, little obstructed putt.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Ooh,
it's a low ceiling as well.
Be tough right there.
I was about to say, I saw a few drives land over there, and it's not just the trees that are in line as Emerson lines up this birdie bid.
There can't have been many birdies.
You're absolutely right. There was not many. As Nikko's par putt is short and...
Ooh.
Woosah. There were 4.
Okay.
And this was only the 8th most difficult hole, right in the middle of difficulty, only 4 birdies. And that, I think, is very telling of the style of course that this is. Birdies were rare.
Well, and this has got to be so few bogeys as well.
Yes, not many of them. Nikko's was one of 17% of the field, or 11%.
Yeah.
But overwhelming par, 85%. You rarely see a hole closing in on the 90s number for par, but this one was very close to that.
What do they always say, shoot for the moon, you'll end up among the stars. I'm thinking maybe shoot for the moon, you'll end up with a pretty routine par.
Hold on.
Nobody under just
Not
yet.
on this card, but we got enough people in the field showing that it's possible.
For
A couple
sure.
scores in that 4 to 5 under range. That's a solid day at the job.
It's a solid day job. Hole 7. It's going to make you work for it, though.
Yes.
R3, 382 feet. Bunch of bunkers there on the left. Green as well. No out of bounds, short or right, I believe. So you have a little room to play with. And you have a low ceiling coming out of the tee right here, which you can see.
Kind of a headwind today, just making it that much longer.
And the angle's like slightly awkward. It moves right more than a forehand wants to, unless you have just a really nice left to right wind. And Chris is going to be laying down roller here. This is challenging bunkers. Oh, doesn't quite get there.
I don't think it was ever challenging the bunker.
In hindsight, you're 100% right there, Paul.
I think the headwind is the major issue. Like, you put enough power and angle on the forehand, like Emerson tried to do, the wind will not allow right movement, really. You know, and the roller, it's going to flip it quick, like we saw from Chris. So getting into circle 1 here is pretty amazing.
This is going to cut roll out left, I'd imagine. Oh, not much.
Yeah, that didn't cut roll left at all. No, I'm just kidding.
And Nikko does indeed throw a second shot.
Gonna have to work again.
Yeah.
And certainly more than he wants to. We've seen him a couple times already drop that medium range putt and drop a stroke. See if he can clean it up here.
I think from the initial line that his sidearm came off on, that was a pretty good result. I thought that was lifting over there into the woods. So
And that's about how this hole feels in these conditions, you know, just not a lot happening. See if Nikko can secure the par. Wow. That's been a problem so far, those little windy putts.
yeah, that's 4 bogeys in a row for the kid. Gonna have to clean that up, but the next hole is one where you can. It's not as hard as these ones coming in.
Yeah.
It's definitely one you can breathe a little. Bunch of pars. I mean, this would be a great hole if it wasn't so windy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and that's fine. You know, every once in a while you get a hole like this that feels like a bonus birdie.
Yeah.
Like a birdie that you feel good to get. Somewhere in the bonus birdie range, if it's calm. But in this headwind, it just makes it so challenging. Again, this is another hole where there were only 9 birdies on the day. And I feel like that's a pretty good stat. I mean, again, 81% par. So not many bogeys in the field.
Seems like a lot of birdies to me.
Yeah, that's about what you'd think. I feel like with this field, you're just going to get enough of those power players who have that nice overstable anhyzer that fights that wind just right.
You had to wait a long time on this course. I think hole 8 here, really the first birdie hole you're kind of running into today, where you sort of think, I ought to get this one. Kyle's not going to like that result, but it is 330, dead straight, no real OB concerns. Certainly the most straightforward hole so far.
And Chris is still going to have to wait for his first birdie on the round unless he makes a solid putt, but it is pretty well obstructed over to that right side. Surprised that he actually made it that far by hitting this early foliage. This is the play right here. Emerson, nice little soft flex anhyzer, but man, that big skip there can make the putting challenging. Let's see if Nikko can get back on track.
I like his chances.
Yeah.
I really like
Bullseye
his chances.
coming.
Beautiful shot.
Not every bit earns a follow flight replay. Look at that soft drift, and it just never really hyzers out that much. It's just landing perfect. So Chris,
mean, Chris's lie there tells you all you need to know about the wind and makes Nikko's shot all that much more impressive because Chris Dickerson does not miss this hole on a calm day.
Oh, my God.
That
Kyle
cage?
trying to not miss this hole.
Wow. But you know what I mean? Chris is not throwing some kind of wobbly turnover on this. You know, he's going to be right at it every time. So Nikko's shot was really something pretty special to be able to go mid-range and just almost make it look calm the way he was able to throw that shot.
Collecting the only birdie on the card. Emerson low. His putting has been back and forth. He's had some really nice saves and then just a little bit low on a few of the other ones. And it's not a day that you expect to putt great.
Well, I think you also had to deal with being back in those woods back there isn't easy. He might not have had like the height required to have his normal stroke and stuff. It gets a little bit obstructed back there. Because I've loved his putt so far.
Sure.
He's been just missed that first one early and then laser beams, man.
Oof.
Looking at hole 9, par 3, 462 with a Mando tree right here on the right side. So you got to hit this early gap and then kind of slowly work your way right. If hole 6 was the moon, this is like Antarctica. Like you can go, but it's going to cost you time. It's going to cost you money. You're going to have to make a lot of plans to get up to this basket. Not a lot of people been there. Not a lot of people are going to go there, in my opinion.
Not many people want to go there.
Oh, I want to go.
Yeah.
And it's no slight to our fans that are in Antarctica. We've got two
There's
people.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing at all. It's just
hard to get to, and they would admit that.
Yeah, it's cold.
And this basket's the same way. You just kind of, do your best. Toss
This
it
is
out
a
here.
really
That's a pretty
nice
good
line.
effort.
Wow.
Come on, push.
That is a solid turnover from
Fantastic.
Kyle. You just have such a low the ceiling here to be able to force that height to get that's 10 out of 10 difficulty in my opinion.
Yeah, easily the best air shot I've seen on this hole yet. That's way more common, what you saw from Chris. Get through the mandatory, dig into the ground, 100 short, 90 short.
So the mandatory is so far away. To get that technical with a driver, that's really special.
Oh, no.
And this is going to miss the mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah, so drop zone coming for Emerson. This is something we're going to need to get the Stat Mando guys on this one. This is the 6th hole on the front 9 that had less than 10 birdies on the hole collectively for the tour. Has that ever happened before? Have we ever had that many holes that had that few birdies on the starting 9? I can't think of anything that comes close.
It would have to be like a tough day at the Dynamic Discs Open, like a super windy day, I feel like. But that course doesn't have nearly as many kind of tweener feels as this one. So
Kyle delivers the putt.
Baby.
That is one of 4.
That is awesome.
Joel Freeman, Paul Oman, James Conrad, Kyle Klein.
It's the trip of a lifetime. I mean, penguins, you're not going to, that's not something you go do and then just don't go telling everybody
It's
about.
the
That
puffins,
was incredible.
baby.
It's
the puffins for me, man. That's what I'm going for.
Polar bears, scary.
Those are in the north.
Those are in the north.
They're going to be after you in the comments.
Oh, thanks.
No polar bears. And we all knew that. He was just joking around. No bears.
At all?
No bears down there. No bears. Not even one.
Bear hugs?
Yes. Absolutely.
Kyle Klein getting to under par, 1 under in the front 9, and that puts him in 19th place. And that tells a big story right there. This front 9 is brutal. And we don't see that many scores in the low numbers that we've come to expect. And we've obviously hit on that a bunch today, but the conditions are tough. The course is tough by itself. But yeah, we're all just doing the best we can to figure it out.
Couple 5-unders out there, Vino, Gannon, and a lot of other guys with a lot of holes left to play. So we'll see what that number ends up being. Hole 18 is a bruiser, so we're going to see how these guys can navigate through the back 9 and all the way to that final hole, which I believe is playing the most difficult out of any today.
It is.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be right back with back 9 coverage from the Open at Austin presented by Lone Star Disc.